The State Department declares ISIS is committing genocide in Iraq and Syria. The declaration coming from Secretary of State John Kerry.
In my judgment, Daesh is responsible for genocide against groups in areas under its control, including Yazidis, Christians, and Shia Muslims.
In Defense of Christians Executive Director Kirsten Evans with us this morning. Kirsten, I'm sure that this is a welcome declaration from your organization as well as many others.
Yes, thank you very much for having us on the show. It is. We've been working very hard on this issue for quite some time now to ensure that the United States government, the Secretary of State, Congress would recognize the persecution of all of the religious minorities in the region as being crimes, war crimes, atrocities, crimes against humanity, and genocide. And we were very pleased that the Secretary made the designation yesterday as he was mandated by federal law to do so.
Kirsten, Father Aquinas here. Thanks for coming on the show. I was just having a conversation with someone last night, a Catholic, a young professional, and he seemed pleased with the declaration, but he was scratching his head. He goes, does this actually do anything? I mean, what's the payout here?
Yeah, that's the million-dollar question, right? And the answer is yes.
Mm-hmm.
It might not be obvious and intuitive to people, but it actually does make a big difference. As we continue to move forward as a nation, as an international community, trying to solve the problem of ISIS and what the aftermath of what that will bring for these communities and for these populations in the region, recognizing the plight of these most vulnerable communities
mm-hmm.
is very, very, very important to have done. As we move forward towards peace negotiations, I always tell people when we go back to put Humpty Dumpty back together again,
right,
recognizing that there are these minority communities in the region who have suffered to such a horrendous degree is very important when the global community continues to move forward of how to heal the region and to make sure that those communities and their situation, their history, their culture, their longevity in the region, and what they have experienced in these years are on the forefront of the global conscience.
Kirsten, it was widely expected that the State Department would declare genocide against the Yazidis. It was very obvious that they had been chased across the Nineveh plain and held on Mount Sinjar, and of course, it was obvious that ISIS was trying to wipe them out. But there was a lot of question on whether or not Christians would be included in this declaration. What do you think turned that around to the point where, indeed, they were?
Yeah, that was our big concern. So we started hearing rumors coming out of the State Department some months ago that President Obama was going to make a designation of genocide for the Yazidi community, but it was going to fall short of that designation for some of these other religious minorities, including Christians, who are the largest minority group in the region. And that was a great concern to us because what that sends to the perpetrators of these crimes is it tells the perpetrators, well, we're really concerned about the way that you're treating this community, and we're sort of concerned about the way that you're treating this other community. And our fear was that it was going to make the communities that didn't receive that designation soft targets and easier targets for continual and for worse treatment. So we were very happy that the designation came out. We, alongside with the Knights of Columbus, submitted a 300-page document to the Secretary of State last week, which basically chronicles all of the evidence of why the Christian community was experiencing, in fact, genocide. Of course, genocide is a very specific crime in international law. It's a crime that has multiple components. It's both an intent and an action, and the intention is the eradication of the community, either in part or in whole. And we were able to submit to them about 300 pages of evidence from lists of people who had been executed, price menus for Yazidi and Christian girls who were being sold on the sex slave trade, stories of rape, murder, beheadings, crucifixions, and also publications that ISIS has made public themselves of their intent to eradicate Christianity from the land. It was a very comprehensive report, and
I believe that document really made that document made a huge difference. Mm-hmm. I believe it was very comprehensive, and it was really very believable. I mean, the content was so well put together. So we appreciate what In Defense of Christians and the Knights of Columbus have done, and thank God for this declaration, and see what happens now in the world community. Kirsten Evans with In Defense of Christians. Thanks for joining us. Remind us of your website so people can find out more about what you do.
Thank you very much. We're at indefenseofchristians.org.
indefenseofchristians.org.